Welcome, dear students. In chapter 4, today we need to learn more about how the antibodies stop the action of the pathogen inside your body and the different mechanisms inside the body. Let's go down in our lesson today. Agglutination or clumping. We need to remember from the last episode as we said that the how the antibodies are very specific, and we studied before the different type like neutralization, and right now we're going to study what the clumping of the antibody. Well, some antibodies such as immunoglobulin M or IgM, it has many antigen, okay, and their binding site just more than 2 sites, so it gives the IgM ability for each of them to bind to more than one microbe or more than one antigen. Okay, so on the other hand, we have, as we said, each antibody has only one binding site, but in this case that we have IgM, it has a many antigen, so it enables the antibody to combine with more than one antigen or more than one microbes or viruses. And also this led to the clumping of microbes or attachment of the microbes in the same antibody. This makes them weaker and liable to engulfed by the phagocytes, or they are very weak, they easily to engulf, easily to destroyed and destructed inside the body by phagocytes. And this is a sheet in the picture that shows us the agglutination or clumping of antibody, which is IgM, immunoglobulin, with the bacterial cells. Okay, and as you see that it has more than binding site, it can bind with 2 and 3 at the same time of the pathogen, or with the bacterial cells, whatever, any pathogen inside the body. After that, from the other specific mechanism, we have also the precipitation of the antibody. One, precipitation, this happens in the soluble antigens. Okay, from its name we need something that precipitate. Okay, as you studied in chemistry, this happens for the soluble antigens. Like what? This happen by binding between the antibodies and these antigens that causes and leading to what? Formation of insoluble antigen. So we need a soluble one to convert or change it into what? Insoluble antigen. Okay, insoluble means what? Insoluble, it means it doesn't dissolve. Okay, and the antibody complex. This antibody complex forms what? The precipitate or the deposits to be more easily to facilitate its engulfing and its destroying by the phagocytes. Okay, I need you to remember something, that the all actions that happen for the pathogens, okay, by the other cells, just to be more liable and to be more exposed for engulfing and destroying inside your body. And this is a kind of the precipitation. We have here the phagocytes, okay, and we have what? The coat of the antigen with the antibody that enhances or supports the phagocytosis for engulfing. And as we said, it happens only for what? Yes, for the soluble antigen to form what? The antibody complex, or the formation of insoluble antigen, as it's shown in the picture. What else? We have also the lysis. Lysis, it's mean what? It's mean that we need to a kind of dissolving it, or binding between the antibodies and antigens, activate a specific type of proteins and enzymes. Those proteins and enzymes called complements. Okay, they are doing what? They lyse, or absolutely they are disappear the codes of the antigens and dissolve their content. So there is no inhibition, no fixation, but just we're going to it to lyse the components of the antigen. We're going to disappear it, dissolve it inside the lymphocytes, and that makes them easily for engulfing and by the phagocytes. After that, we have antitoxins, or the last mechanism here that we have by the antibodies, which is called what? Antitoxins. This is the fifth one, okay? Remember that. Well, the antibodies combine to toxins and form complexes. These complexes of antibodies and toxins, they are doing what? They activate these complexes that activate the complements to react with them in the chain reaction. Chain reaction, the reaction that will not stop at a short time. They take a very long time for stopping. They are called a chain reaction, which leading to finally to what? To detoxifying. Well, as you know that toxic is something very lethal, okay, something poisonous, and it means to take without. So detoxification or detoxifying, it means what? Without, or to remove the ability of toxicity, to stopping its toxicity, okay, as your liver, okay, your liver has ability of to detoxify the blood, or detoxify the any antigen. So detoxifying or detoxification is mean to remove the toxins from the body. Well, which leading finally to detoxifying them makes them very easily to engulf by the phagocytes. And this is a picture to show us what the antitoxins, which causes, as we said, what by the helping of the complements to leading to detoxifying them and engulfing them easily by the phagocytes. After that, we need to study the mechanism of the immune system in our body. Well, the immune system mechanism in our body. Starting, we need to ask ourselves how the human body protects itself from the pathogens. I mean, how Allah gave us a lot of protection from the pathogens. This is our lesson here. There are two systems of the immunity inside our body. I mean, two main systems, okay? The first one, which is called natural or non-specific or innate immune system. Okay, this is the first one, and we're going to study this type in details right now, okay? And the acquired one, or specific or adaptive immunity. Okay, any immune system, as we said, in living organism, something that already in its structure, like the plant, as we said, we call it structural. And also inside our body, we call it what? Non-specific or innate immune system. And acquired one, I mean that we need to force our body to secrete or to deal with the pathogens, okay? And we call it acquired or specific or adaptive immunity. Okay, adaptive is mean here, but to adapt with the specific antigens. The two systems, they work together in collaboration and harmony together. Yet, each of two systems uses different mechanisms to activate the immune responses of the other systems. They also activate each other to help the body to deal successfully with the pathogen. So they work together in collaboration, they activate each other, okay, for what? All of that just for to deal with the pathogens in the proper way, okay, by such a specific way. Number one, starting with the natural or non-specific or innate immune system. Actually, this system is a group of defense mechanisms that protect the body, okay, and what they are characterized. Again, we're going to start studying the natural, non-specific, or innate immune system. We need to know what the characterization of this system, its function, if it's just one part or different parts, okay? Well, this system characterized, as we said, by rapid, effective response to resist, fight, and destroy any microbe or foreign body that invades the body. And also, these mechanisms, they are what? Not a specific against a specific type of microbes or antigens. I mean, there is no any specific time for just a group of viruses and other group of viruses, they cannot invade them. No, there is no specificity in this case, but it's a wide range. It's ability for invading and for killing and engulfing the antigens or the pathogens. It's what is non-specific for microbes or antigens, okay? And we can classify it into 3 lines of defense as we going to discuss it. The first line, we call it what? The first line of defense that we have. They are a group of physiological or natural barriers inside your body, such as what? Like your skin, like mucus inside what? Inside your nose, like tears, like sweat that's secreted by sweat gland from the skin, like hydrogen chloride or hydrochloric acid that secreted by your stomach for digestion food. Those are called what? Those are called natural barriers. The part of your body, the part of structure of your body, and they are also the first line of defense for against the pathogens. Their functions, the preventing pathogens from entering the body. So we have also here 2 parts. One of them, in case of presence of the natural, and how can we prevent the pathogen from penetrating the body, and what happens if the pathogen succeeded to pass our cells. Starting with the skin, which is characterized by a tough horny layer on its surface. This layer acts as a barrier that very difficult to be penetrated or passed through the pathogens or the other viruses. The sweat secreted by the sweat glands on the skin surface, and it can kill most of the microbes because of its salinity, because it contains a large amount of salts. After that, we have the ears wax, the cerumen or the ears wax inside your ear. These substances secreted by the ears that can kill any microbes and also protect the ears. Also, we have the tears. They are protect the eye and secreted from the lacrimal glands of your eyes, and they have ability to protect the eyes from microbes because they contain antimicrobial substances. After that, the mucus in the respiratory tract. A viscous fluid that lines the respiratory bronchi. Bronchi, the singular form of it, which is bronchus. Okay, don't forget it. To what? To adhere with the microbes. Okay, sticking with the microbes and adhere with the mucus and trapping the microbes and foreign bodies, and to prevent also from entering them with the air. Then the mucus with the trapped microbes is expelled. They are released to the outside of the body by the action of the beating cilia, okay, lining these tracts. Well, after that also we have the saliva. The saliva, it is the liquid inside your mouth cavity. Contains substances that kill microbes, and also it contains enzymes that can dissolve such microbes. Okay, so behind the existing of the enzyme that has ability to digest starch, it has also ability some enzyme that can dissolve the microbes which is secreted by the saliva. Also we have the acidic gastric juice which is secreted by your stomach. The epithelial lining of the stomach produces and secretes a very strong hydrochloric acid that can kill microbes entering with the food. So we have a different mechanism here, okay? Some fluids, okay, outside your body like tears and mucus and saliva, and some of them inside your body like hydrochloric acid, okay, and so on. This is about the mechanism and how our body defends against the pathogens. What the second line of defense that we have, which is what? This system acts if the pathogens succeeded in penetrating from the first line of defense. Okay, as we said in the last episode, we have two main ideas. Okay, we have a group of tissues, a group of systems. They have ability to prevent the pathogen from entering our bodies. Okay, but what happens if the pathogen succeeded in entering our body and penetrate the cells of the host? The second line of defense at this moment or at this time is starting to work. So this system, the second one, okay, acts if the pathogen succeeded already in penetrating the first line of defense, and it already invaded your body tissue through slashes in the skin, whatever, penetrating the skin by food, by air, whatever, by such a way. Okay, for example, difference between first and second line of defense. The internal one, the body uses successive non-specific mechanisms, okay, while the surround the invading microbes within seconds or minutes to prevent the microbes from spreading. These mechanisms start by a severe inflammation, okay, while inflammatory response, this second line, such as what, like the inflammatory response, okay, and so on. You know that inflammation, when it happens inside on the skin or inside or outside our body. Okay, we have here 4 or 5 different steps of the inflammatory response and how these substances increase inside our body. Well, a non-specific defense mechanism in the area of injury, such as what, response to the damage of tissues that causes the caused by injury or by the infection from external, from the outside. The inflammation is an immediate response of the body tissues that injured by foreign body, like bacteria, like viruses, whatever, any external or any injury that happened to our body. And some changes take place in the area of the injury, such as what, where the blood vessels dilate or they are expand to the maximum limit. because of secreting large quantities of inflammation or generating substances. The most important one here is what? The histamines. They are a group of substances. They are secreted by your body. Most important one, they are like what? Histamines, some interleukins, and other substances that are secreted by specific cells like mast cells, eosinophils as a kind of the white blood cells, and also T lymphocytes. Okay, those are just a helper. They are activating, okay, beside the histamines and interleukins. And these substances, they are increased in some cases, like what? They increase what? Increase number one, permeability of arterioles, okay, I mean the branches of the arteries, okay, and blood capillaries to blood fluid, which then leak from the blood circulation. Number two, the leading to the swelling of tissues in the site of injury, and also they allow the passage of chemicals that kill and dissolve bacteria to the site of the infection. Yet the increase in the permeability of blood vessels also enables white blood cells as neutrophils and monocytes and macrophages to do what? To starting and fighting and to kill foreign bodies and microbes. In addition of interference and the natural killer cells as the components of the second line of defense. And we have here a picture to show what happened at the time of inflammatory response. Well, this picture to show us what happened at the time of what happened at the time of infection. As we said, a non-specific defense that happened, like what? You know that these substances, okay, they help in permeability of arterioles and leading to the swelling of tissue in the site of injury, and also they allow the passage of chemicals that kill dissolving bacteria to the site, and also by helping of the neutrophils, monocytes, and macrophages to fight and kill foreign bodies and microbes. After that, we need to start with the acquired or specific or the adaptive immunity system. If the second line of defense failed in getting rid of the foreign body, so the body will use the third line of defense. So what did we say? We have three lines of defense. The first line, okay, if it failed, the second line it works, such as the inflammation, okay, or as we studied right now, the some substances they doing a lot of changes in the body at the second line. But while here, if the first and second line they are already filled, what will happen? The third line will work. The body will use third line of defense that includes lymphocytes. These defense mechanisms are collectively called the immune response. But why they are called that, and what their function and how they are classified? Well, this acquired or specific immunity is done by two mechanisms. By what? How many mechanisms that we have? Two main mechanisms. Well, the first one, humoral or antibody mediated immunity. We call it what? The mediated immunity. Well, actually, this mechanism defends the body against antigens, pathogens like bacteria, viruses, and toxins. Again, remember that the first one inside the third line, which is humoral or antibody mediated immunity, it acts and deals with the pathogen like bacteria, viruses, and toxins. Okay, and also they are present in the body fluid like blood plasma and lymph by doing what? By producing antibodies. So this line, it works by producing antibodies, okay? And this is done on the following steps. Well, when a pathogen enters the body carrying on its surface, as we said before, yep, a specific antigen on its surface. The B lymphocytes recognize this antigen. Recognize means it wants to attack it, it wants to give some information about it. As we said, the B lymphocytes, they work as archive or database inside your body. Each B lymphocyte is a very specific and they can respond to a single specific antigen. But what happens when the B lymphocytes recognize its specific antigen? This question, we need to get a complete answer for it, okay? Let's start what will happen when the B lymphocyte recognizes its specific antigen. Okay, let's start our story right now. Number one, it attaches itself to the antigen by using the immune receptors. So number one, attachment, okay, by using what? The immune receptors. After that, number two, like what? These receptors, CD19 or CD20 and CD21, or they are refers to what? The clusters of differentiation, okay, like CD19, 20, and 21, that they are already exist on the surface of the B lymphocyte, and they are macrophage that will engulf, after that, the macrophage that engulf the antigen and digest them by its lysosomal enzymes into fragments of very tiny pieces, okay? After that, these fragments, so number one, as we said, attachment, okay? Number two, using what? The cluster differentiation, which is CD19, 20, and CD21, that already the present on the surface of the B lymphocyte. After that, these fragments bind inside the macrophages to a protein. This protein is a specific protein. It's called what? Is called histocompatibility complex, or such as MHC2. Okay. After that, the complex resulting from the binding between the antigen and the MHC2, okay, or the major histocompatibility complex, MHC2, is doing what? It transfers to the plasma membrane of the macrophage for what? To be present, and after that they presented on the outer surface of the T helper or lymphocyte, which is T lymphocytes. And we have here a picture to show us what's happened. But after that, the T helper or T lymphocytes will recognize it easily, okay, the antigen, by the MHC protein, the major histocompatibility protein, present on the surface of the macrophages and bind to it the antigen MHC2 complex, or which refers to major histocompatibility complex, okay? At the end of our episode, I hope you starting to differentiate between the different mechanisms in the living organisms and immunity system. See you the next time.